Greetings to our Freedom Church family and those of you who are tuning in via Facebook or YouTube. Greetings in the name of the Lord. Something very significant happened in our community this past Tuesday night that I've been thinking about the last several days. It was not only spiritually significant, it was historic in our community as several hundred, in fact, hundreds and hundreds of believers from all across the county, from many different churches, many denominations came together for one thing and one thing only, and that was to pray. It was not a worship service. It was not a preaching time. There was no music. There was just prayer. What made it significant is not the event itself as much as what happened during that time as pastors, dozens and dozens of them, stood up front in front of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people from churches from all over the community. And we laid down our egos and we laid down our logos. By that I mean we didn't come there with an ego to say, well, this is about me, or this is about my church, or this is about what I want and what I desire. What we did was, together with the people of God, we laid down our egos and we said, God, it's not about us, it's all about you. And we laid down our logos. Not one time during this hour and a half to 2 hour time of praying together was even one church's name mentioned. There was nothing in a program that said who was sponsoring it. It was laying our egos and our logos down. Our pride was just crushed at this event. Pastors came together and we confessed to one another. And one of the things we confessed is that we've hindered the people from coming together. Now, I believe there's something significant going on out of this event that is a result. And whether or not you were able to be there, or maybe you live in another community and you're just watching this video, I want to tell you something. You can be part of what God is doing and getting ready to do in our community, and perhaps in your community as you gather with others and seek His face, laying down your ego and your logo. It's not about us. It is all about Him. Now, in Habakkuk, I was looking today at a time when Habakkuk went to the Lord in prayer, and it's called a complaint to God. But what I think is that Habakkuk was just being honest. He was just being authentic before God. He was being raw and he was being real. And he said this. He said, "How long, O Lord, must I call for help and you don't listen?" This isn't an accusation against God. It's just an admission on Habakkuk's part that he is not hearing from the Lord. He's not seeing what God is doing because there's something in his way. He goes on and he says, I cry out to you violence, and it doesn't seem like you save. In other words, he's looking at his nation, just like we might look at our own nation, and he's seeing all the problems. He's seeing the injustice. He's seeing the corruption. He's seeing the immorality, and he's saying, God, don't you see what I see? And the Lord, I believe, answers him back and says, but Habakkuk, don't you see what I see? See, that's the more important thing about prayer. It's not about us petitioning God to see what it is that we're seeing. It's God petitioning us in our time committed to Him to help us to see what it is that He's seeing. Because here's how God answers Habakkuk. He says, look at the nations and watch and be utterly amazed, for I'm going to do something in your days that you would not believe, even if I were to tell you. In other words, God says, I could tell you ahead of time, Habakkuk, or explain things to you, but you wouldn't believe me if I did. What I want you to do is I want you to look. I want you to see what it is I'm going to do. And I want you to believe. I want you to have faith that I'm not missing anything in your nation. I'm not missing anything in your church community. I'm not missing anything in your family. And I'm not missing anything in your life. But I want you to believe. I want you to look, and I want you to see. So as we go through these days after the Sacred Assembly event that we had, as we go through this time in our life, let us be reminded that we are to humble ourselves before God. We're to be authentic. We're to be real, but we are also to hear from the Lord. You see, Habakkuk's complaint was about 5 verses, The Lord's answer goes on and on and on and on. It means this. It means that Habakkuk spent more time listening to God and what God was saying than he did complaining to God, or if you will, praying to God. Let me ask you this. Do you see things in our nation, our community, our church, your family, and your own life where you have prayed and you don't seem to see the answer? Maybe it is that you've not prayed and believed. You see, our faith is God's greatest interest. Our faith is what he's developing the greatest in our life, and he's just simply using the circumstances all around us. So as you go to church this weekend, perhaps, or as you gather in a Bible study with other believers, or as you have an opportunity to pray for those in your family, or just spend time alone with God, hear what he's saying. Believe that he is doing things that you cannot even imagine. Look, and I know you will see. Let's enter those times together with that heart and that mind. May the Lord bless you and keep you, make his face to shine upon you, and in every way may you use this day, this hour, this minute to glorify him and honor him. God bless you.